Let's get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The JAYREELZ podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I gotta call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, direct, and in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the JAYREELZ podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits. Here we are, ushering in a new month. 2 days in, the day after April Fools, and 2 days after celebrating another birthday. But right now, it's all about sports because there's a lot going on, a lot happening, and you've come to the right place to listen to it all, as this is the JAYREELZ podcast with Joe JAYREELZ. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, or even as early as this past Monday, I welcome you guys and gals back. And now that we're into the month of April, which to me is the best sports month of the year, I know we could debate it. We could go back and forth. I talked about it on yesterday's live stream. Every Wednesday, high noon Eastern time. Definitely don't want to miss out. That's another opportunity for you to get at me live. Here, I'll get to all your comments at the back end of my stream of consciousness as I get through all the sports. So in the next hour, whatever comments, questions, suggestions, whatever it may be, just leave it there, and I'll be sure to follow up with you once we get to the end of the podcast. But with all that's going on, and with the main focus right now with the tournament, we're down to the final four teams of March Madness, which obviously is now transitioned into the month of April. And how I look at this Final Four, so many different storylines, so many really juicy storylines when you look at the teams that are involved. And even Illinois, for that matter, considering that they're maybe not the surprise team, considering that they are a 3 seed, still very good. We know about their young guards. We know about the players that have certainly propelled them to get to this point. Whether your name is Keaton Wagler, even Andre Stojakovic, which is Peja's kid, and a lot of the players that have come from the other side of the pond there in Eastern Europe that have made an impact and made a difference for this Illinois team that gets to a Final Four under their coach, Brad Underwood. But it's not even just about them kind of being the, I don't want to say the Cinderella because they're not, but when you look at UConn, when you look at Arizona, when you look at Michigan, those teams are behemoths next to a team like the Fighting Illini. And the first storyline I want to get to has to be about UConn because we've talked about their run here, which has been, let's face it, it has been improbable because this was a team that in the Big East final against St. John's, they got their doors blown off. And I understand just because you lose a conference championship game doesn't mean that, oh, you're going to go meekly into the tournament and, all right, maybe you'll win a round as a 2 seed and, all right, maybe you'll even get to a Sweet 16 when it's all said and done. But considering the path that they got to get here to this point, and now that they are one of the last 4 standing, I have to say it is a big surprise. And I get it that they're a 2 seed. I get it that they have Danny Hurley as a coach that has won 2 of the past 3 national championships. But considering the grit, the toughness, the championship DNA, are you surprised that they're here? I have to say I am. I'm sorry. And that's not a knock or discounting anything and everything that they've done throughout the course of these last 4 years. But I have to admit, knowing that the region that they came out of, Duke, themselves, of course, St. John's, Michigan State, who they beat pretty handily when you think about it. I mean, this is a region that was brutal, that was tough, but they rose above that. They showed how tough they are, and they showed that not only they belong here, but they're going to go probably is further than anybody ever imagined. That means a championship game on Monday night. And remember, UConn and Illinois played earlier this year. Mind it was 2 seasons ago. And no, I'm not talking about 2 years. They actually played in the late fall back in Madison Square Garden on November 28th, I believe it was, where UConn won 74-61. And I'll get into that too when it has to do with the game because I'm just talking storylines. But when it comes to what they've done here, I don't think it would surprise anybody that Monday night around 11:25 that they're going to be the last team that's going to cut the nets down. Now, me personally, I think it will be a shock, and I'll get into the reasons why. But to me, they're storyline number one, considering their recent track record, what they've done here throughout this tournament. And I understand you could blame those last 10 seconds on John Shire that we talked about on Monday. And obviously, all they had to do was just hold the ball and didn't need to force that pass, which led to the three-point shot by Braylon Mullins to win the game. I mean, to this day, I'm still thinking about how Duke literally gagged and blew that game. But that's number one. The second storyline is Arizona and Michigan, the national championship game, or at least the de facto one. I mean, you have to think of it that way because these are two teams that have been ranked 1 or 2 in some way, shape, or form throughout most of the year. I understand later on Duke overtook them and they had the 1 seed overall going into this tournament. But for these two squads, and I'll start with Michigan, considering that they have a lot more seasoning on their team, meaning that they have some juniors and the senior led by Yaxel Landenborg, and they have a very cohesive unit led by their head coach, Dusty May, going up against Arizona with all those freshmen. The guys like, I know I'm going to butcher his name, so my apologies. Koa Pete, for one. You also have Jaden Bradley, who's a guy that obviously is going to expect to do big things here come Saturday night against Michigan, which is the second game. And also another Braden Berries is another guy that obviously that they're going to have to look out for. But there are a lot of freshmen on that team where when you look at Michigan, there are a lot more, when I say seasoned, players that have been on the team for more than just a year. So will that be Landenborg, as I mentioned? Will that be, or Maurice Johnson is a sophomore, a Daymara junior. So, I mean, you have guys that have been on this team that knows their way around, not only just what they've done here this year, but they have the experience. And that goes a long way. I mean, think about what happened there with Duke and UConn. UConn, as we all know, because of their pedigree, and a guy like Alex Caravan, who's been there the 4 years, knows what it takes to win, made the big pass there to Braylon Mullins, and I get it, people can say, well, anybody could have made that pass, but you never know. If that was a freshman, knowing that the time was running out, he probably would have tried to be playing hero ball and take that last shot, and it probably would have been a miss. But Caravan had the wherewithal to say, I'm not open. Let me give it to my guy who is well above the top of the key, and he drained that three-pointer. Where with Arizona, who knows? Are they going to be in panic mode? Are they going to be forcing the issue? Or that we'll have to wait and see come Saturday night. But these two teams it's a heavyweight fight. It would have been better if it was a national championship game, but obviously that's not the case. Which one comes out on top? That, of course, I'll discuss. And then the other thing, too, about the storylines here, and I'm going to go back to Hurley, is if he does come out victorious here, where does he stack upon the great coaches in the history of the sport? And not only that, but this one, I think, would even cement his brilliance, cement his even legacy for that matter. Because he wins this time around, and let's say he doesn't win again, they'll look at the back-to-back and how that hadn't been done since Billy Donovan did it in the aughts, 2006 and 7. But they're going to look at Hurley here to say, wait a minute. Even as a 2 seed, nobody expected him to get to a Final Four. And then now he's going to go ahead and win the whole thing, especially if he's going to beat either Arizona or Michigan along the way. I mean, it's going to have to go down as one of the more remarkable coaching jobs that we've seen. And I understand that in those final seconds against Duke, they pretty much gave it to him on a silver platter. Mind you that Mullins had to make a 40-foot three. I mean, it wasn't as if he was right at the top of the key or in the corner making that three. And I also understand, too, that if it wasn't because of that, they'd be home and wouldn't even be talking about Danny Hurley. But they're here, and they have a shot. And you can't discount them, despite the fact that this may not be the same team of a couple years ago with the Stephon Castles of the world and the Donovan Klingons and guys like that, where made their mark in college basketball as a team to go back-to-back for the first time in almost 2 decades. So Hurley has to be put on notice here. If he does win a national title, where does he stack up? Is he up there with Bobby Knight? Is he up there with Mike Krzyzewski? Maybe not John Wooden, because Wooden is in a stratosphere all to himself. But these are things you have to think about if he does happen to win this. Now, we understand he's a top coach. We understand that he's going to be cemented as a guy when it's all said and done, and his story's still being written, whether he goes back to more Final Fours or wins another national championship. But this one in particular, if he wins, I mean, what more can you say? So, in fact, think about this. He's going to match what Jim Calhoun did at UConn from his days dating back to the 80s, but when he had his run from 99 to 2011, and that's what, a 12-year run? Hurley's going to do this in 4 years. I mean, think about that. So something to think about here as we move it along. And as far as the games are concerned, now I'm rooting big time for Illinois. I've seen enough UConn wins. I'm tired of them. I give them their respect. Well-deserved, rightfully so. But I just think that the experience and what we've seen here of UConn, I just see them winning this game. That's not to say Illinois cannot. And Illinois, for their players that I mentioned, who are brilliant players. But you do have a lot of freshmen there. And freshmen, you never know. Game gets tight or worse. Think about what happened with Duke. They had the big lead in the first half. All right, it was cut to 15, and I believe it was 16 early on in the second half. And then UConn kept chipping away. If Illinois is not going to be able to slay that dragon, let's just say they get off to a fast start. And all right, maybe they're up by 12 at the half. Well, let's say they're up by 8 at the half. And then it's, nip and tuck back and forth. And then the next thing you know, UConn's down by 5, and it's 8 minutes to go in the game. And then now it's a 2-point game. How are they going to respond in that spot? I trust UConn to deliver there more so than I would trust Illinois. And then let's say it was the other way around. Let's say if UConn got off to the big lead, all right, maybe they're up by 12 at the half. And for whatever the reason, Illinois, they're hanging around, they're chipping away, they're coming back. But even still, I would trust UConn to deliver there because they know what it takes to win and know how to win, as opposed to Illinois where, all right, they made this run to get back in the game. Maybe they're down by a basket with 3 minutes to go, and then you'll get that dagger three from Taris Reed or from maybe even Alex Caravan, or somebody will make a stop, and then they'll go on a run, and then UConn will end up victorious and set themselves up for a national championship game for the third time in 4 years. And I can see that. So I'm going to look at UConn winning this game. I could see it being close. Or I can even see it being a thing where it's a battle for almost, let's say, halfway through the second half. And then UConn will go on that run. And then Illinois will be with their head spinning, wondering what just happened. And then the next thing you know, UConn wins by a comfortable 8-point deficit. I could see that. I could see Illinois winning, though. I can't discount what they've done and their talent and their capability to score, but I just think UConn, with their know-how, experience, etc., I just think they're going to win there in the first game, late Saturday afternoon into the evening. As far as the second game, now, this is one thing that you can't overlook when you have these two teams go at it. And if we think it's going to be that battle to the end, physical, up and down the court, both teams could play anyway, transition, half court, etc., to the point where this game is going to be maybe the first to 80 wins, but let's just say it gets into the 90s. Dare I even say, how about overtime? Remember, this is a game that's supposed to start. It's not going to start 8:49. It's probably going to start sometime after 9 o'clock. With the timeouts and replays and things of that nature, what if this game goes past midnight? And these two teams are not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, even psychologically exhausted. All right, obviously somebody has to win, but I bring this up because I'm sure whomever wins UConn and Illinois, let's just say it's UConn, based on everything I talked about. And now you have Arizona and Michigan playing past midnight. And it's a situation where Michigan prevails or Arizona squeaks by. Who do you think is going to have the advantage there come Monday night in the championship game? It's got to be UConn. Because if you're going to have those two teams, the Wildcats and Wolverines, go at it to the point where, if I do my math correctly, 42, 43 hours later, they got to get back on that court after all that energy that they expended, and now have to go up against a team, UConn, that, again, knows what it takes to win. Now, there are no guarantees, of course, but that is something that you got to factor in and think about when you get to that second game Saturday night, because you don't have to go far back in the memory bank to think the 2021, which, mind you, that was during COVID, no fans in the stands, etc., when UCLA and Gonzaga went deep into the night East Coast time, where Gonzaga won the Jalen Suggs 3 to end the game, and how that was an emotional roller coaster, just a crazy ride, that whole game, and the way it ended, etc. And you would have thought, by far, Baylor has no shot. Gonzaga, they've been waiting for this moment. How many years have they gone to Final Fours or gone deep into the tournament, and they've fallen short and certainly have not come close to getting to a championship game? And now here it is. They have that one moment, that one big victory where you think to yourself, this has got to be their year. This was their moment. And then now they're going to put that cherry on top against Baylor. And what happened? They had nothing. Baylor took it to them. And I could see that happening here, whether it be Illinois or UConn, but even more so UConn, where I'm sure Danny Hurley, if they come out victorious there Saturday night and they go into the locker room and they meet the press, go back to their hotels, they're already having their post-game meal, and I'm sure Danny Hurley's saying, all right, guys, watch the game from your hotel room, whatever. We got to get rest, and tomorrow morning we're going to go at it to gear up for whomever it is that we're going to play, while those two guys, those Clash of the Titans, are going to go at it until one team drops and one team advances. But the team that advances, how much will they have left? And we'll talk about it on Monday's podcast. So, and I can't wait to unpack that. But as far as the game itself, Michigan, because they're big just like Arizona, but I think, just like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more seasoning on this team for Dusty May, their head coach. And I understand Tommy Lloyd. I get it, rumors about North Carolina, and maybe even Michael Jordan picking up the phone to see if he can lure him there to be a part of Tar Heel Nation. But I have to think that Michigan, with the year that they've had, and Arizona's had a big-time year too. You can't negate that. But I do think the Wolverines have just enough what it takes to win this game. And I think first team to 80, maybe even 90, is what it's going to take in order for them to advance. But I could see this being a classic game. I could see this being a 15-round knockdown, drag down heavyweight matchup. So I think Michigan will prevail. And then obviously we will see what will happen there after Saturday night. And on Monday's podcast, we'll preview the game, obviously break down both semifinal games, and see where the dust settles from there. And that is it. Is there anything else college basketball? Let me just pull that up here real quick. No, that's what you got. And even still, now I think back to, yeah, I just look at, if I'm shortchanging Illinois, again, it's only because of their freshman play and being able to deliver in a big spot. And listen, they didn't have to worry about having to face in their region the 2 seed Houston. They didn't have to worry about Florida. They played Iowa. And the round before that, drawing blanks with Illinois. So not to say that they didn't have a tough road, but it wasn't as tough. And the competition wasn't as stiff as what they're going to face now. And that's why I think UConn, I would think they'd probably rather face Duke. Because although Duke is a better team on paper, but you're going up against what UConn has been here over the last now 4 years. And listen, I'm not trying to make UConn out to be John Wooden and the UCLA Bruins of the early 70s and those runs that they had with Lou Alcindor and Bill Walton, but it has to account for something. And that's just my point. But that's what you have with the college basketball. Now, let me turn my attention to the NBA. And I know I've talked about this ad infinitum, especially here down the stretch. Let me pull that up here real quick with my graphics, because I forgot to put up this graphic here earlier when it comes to, can UConn win another title? Is Michigan-Arizona championship game, which I think it is in essence. And I think whomever wins that game will beat UConn. I'll just say that now, just so we can save that for a receipt. But as far as the NBA goes, there isn't any other way that I could put it than both conferences have their 10 teams in each, including the play-in tournament. Now we just have to figure out who's going to be seated where. And yes, can I rehash everything that has gone on? Oh, in the East, we know that the Celtics over the Knicks, and we know that cluster from Atlanta all the way down to Charlotte, that could switch at the drop of a hat, considering that they're all separated by 3.5 games. Out West, Lakers, and they're playing well, but so are the Spurs and so are the Thunder. But from 3 to 6 between LA, Houston, Denver, Minnesota, they could flip at the drop of a hat to where they could try to get out of that 4-5 and try to be that 3 seed that could face the Spurs in the second round if it just so happens to be that way. Yeah, I could talk about that all till I'm blue in the face. And I know when we get to next Thursday's podcast, we'll be that much closer. We'll have a better idea, better feel. Who knows? It still may come down to that final Sunday, a week from this Sunday, to where which teams will end up in which slot, in which seed, to either avoid maybe playing OKC in the second round or whomever's going to be in the playing scenario. Because remember, in the East, those teams are separated by just not even a handful of games, a couple of digits away from going from 5 to 7, meaning that you have to start that Tuesday in the play-in tournament and have to at least win one game to advance, or if you lose that game, then you have to play the winner of the 9-10. And that factors in big time because, if you're a 7 seed, I understand in both the East and West right now, you're either going to have to play the Celtics or the Spurs, which is certainly going to be a tall order. But as much as you'll be sacrificial lambs, would you rather have your chances against the Celtics or Spurs, or be an 8 seed where you're going up against OKC? All right, Pistons, we know that they're strong, and who knows with Kate Cunningham, but still, they're going to be a big-time underdog going into those series, even if it is whoever comes out with the 8 seed in the West to play the Pistons there in that first round, which the playoffs will begin 2 weeks from this Saturday. And I see the comments building there. I'm going to get to the comments there in the next hour, so just keep that in mind. But for the NBA, there isn't really anything else I could spew other than what I've been talking about here over the last 2 weeks when it comes to these seedings. Now, I'll get to the schedule to see what that's going to look like over the next 3 days into the weekend before we get to Monday's podcast to see if there's going to be any matchups there to look forward to or to look at to say, oh, all right, well, these two teams are going at it. This is a huge game to see with seeding. But besides that, there isn't really anything else to unpack with the NBA. Now, there's some news and notes that I'm going to get to momentarily. But let me get to the schedule. Pull that up here momentarily. Because what we're looking at here into the penultimate weekend of the season, tonight, your two prime video games, Minnesota, Detroit. It's a big game for the T-Wolves because they obviously want to not only keep pace, but try to leapfrog over these teams. I believe they're currently 6th in the West. Lakers and OKC, big game there, and that's also on Prime. Cleveland, Golden State, New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio at the Clippers, Phoenix at Charlotte. Those are your games there. Two NBA TV games. Surprised no ESPN. But you have Bulls at the Knicks, New Orleans at Sacramento, NBA TV. Yeah, there's no good nightcap there. Minnesota at Philadelphia. Atlanta at Brooklyn. I bring up Atlanta because they're part of that cluster that I was referring to. Utah at Houston. Remember, they're in the mix there in the West at 3-6. Boston at Milwaukee. Orlando at Dallas. Yeah, those are pretty much the games of note there. Saturday, light schedule. Washington at Miami. San Antonio at Denver on Prime. So Denver's going to need that game. Detroit at Philadelphia. NBA TV. Sunday, your NBC games. LA, Lakers at Dallas. So that's another Luka back to his old stomping grounds. Houston at Golden State is the nightcap. Also on NBC. NBA TV has the Celtics hosting Toronto. Then in between, Phoenix at Chicago, Indiana, Cleveland, Charlotte, Minnesota. Boy, Minnesota, they got a tough stretch here. Orlando, New Orleans, Utah, OKC, and that is your NBA there schedule-wise. Now, standings real quick. Yeah, Rockets at 5. T-Wolves with listen, at Detroit, at Philly, and then Charlotte on Sunday. The T-Wolves are tied in the loss with Houston. One in the loss to Denver, but they have 2 games in hand on the Nuggets and a game in hand on the Rockets. So, and these are important games for Minnesota if they're trying to get out of that 3-6, which would mean that they're going to play the Lakers. And remember, they beat the Lakers in the first round last year. And the Lakers, I believe, they were the 3 seed. They were the 3 seed because they beat them in 5. And they beat them in the first 2 games, I believe, in LA. So let's see. This is going to shake down. A lot of those teams have been playing well, too. Denver's won 7 in a row. Lakers and Rockets have won 4 straight. Spurs 10 in a row. Thunder. And the Spurs are still trying to gun for that 1 seed. They're 2 games back. And remember, they own the tiebreaker. So keep that in mind. And then, 4 games separate Atlanta through Miami. So I just want to throw that in there. And we'll see what happens there with that. And Orlando's been playing. They have not been good. Same for the Heat, for that matter. They both plummeted to the bottom of the play-in, where Miami would have to go to Orlando if the season ended today, and then Charlotte, Toronto. So, 10 days left. We'll see how it goes. And let me get to the news and notes here because there are a few things to talk about. Do I really need to talk about Jaden Ivey and his comments? I guess I do because this is a sports talk show or podcast. So Jaden Ivey, formerly of the Pistons, who was traded to the Bulls in the middle of the season and got waived by the team based on some comments that he made toward the LGBTQ community. And pretty much what he was bringing up was talking about his faith. And I don't have the quotes in front of me, but did make a comment towards that community, which in 2026 is not going to fly. This isn't 1972 Archie Bunker, All in the Family, where you can make a comment like that and laugh it off. It's just a joke or whatever. No, not happening. And I understand he was being honest with his thoughts and with his religion, his faith, etc. But Yeah, that could be almost, and I say almost, a career suicide move because I don't know how many apologies you could throw out towards the community or towards anybody that's marginalized or certain groups, etc. You're still going to be vilified because with what you say, despite an apology, I don't believe he has come out with an apology just yet, it's going to look contrived. And that's all there is to it. And Ivey was a good player with the Pistons, number 5 pick overall a few years back. And now, if that was his way to get off the team, it was not a bad job. It was an awful job. He just should have played out the string, waited till the postseason began or halfway through the postseason or get to the offseason to say, I want out. Now, we understand he doesn't have the NBA player empowerment that a lot of other guys in the league have, but I'm sure he would get his way if he wanted out. And by him doing it by the way of criticizing the LGBTQ community, it's not a good look, nor is it a good move. So that's what I got to say about his comments and him being released with the Bulls. The next thing I want to talk about is this Hall of Fame class. I know I talked about this yesterday on the live stream, or maybe it was 2 live streams ago. But Tuesday it came out that the Hall of Fame class of 2026 is Amar'e Stoudemire, Doc Rivers as a coach, Candace Parker, and Elle Deladon, both of the WNBA. Now, Candace Parker's a slam dunk. She goes in on roller skates. Elle Deladon, I haven't followed her career like that. Fine. She goes in, no problem. Amar'e Stoudemire, I have nothing against the guy. Very good player. He had excellent years. 1 year, I believe, averaged 26. Another averaged 25. He played in the league, I think, 11, 12 years. And I looked at this yesterday. He had 4 Hall of Fame years, if you want to look at it from that regard. If I even asked you what he averaged throughout the course of his career, points and rebounds, you'd probably think, I don't know, he had to be at least a 2010 guy, maybe 22 and 10 and a half for his career, JAYREELZ. Try 18.9 and 9 rebounds a game. How is that Hall of Fame worthy? Could somebody answer me that? When you look at other guys in his position, he was a power forward. Come on, is he in the same breath as Tim Duncan? Kevin Garnett? Come on. Let's call it as we see it here. And these are his contemporaries. I'm not even going to yesteryear. I won't even say Karl Malone or I was going to say Moses Malone, but he was a center. But yes, I could go to power forwards of yesteryear. And obviously those won't stack up. But when you're talking Tim Duncan, you're talking Kevin Garnett, those 2 guys in particular, Amar'e Stoudemire is nowhere near that stratosphere of NBA player. I mean, Tim Duncan is the best power forward of all time. And Kevin Garnett is probably top 5 all time in power forwards, not top 5 overall. I mean, you could argue maybe he's 3rd or 4th because you figure Duncan, Karl Malone, and maybe Kevin Garnett. Amar'e Stoudemire? Sorry. And again, no offense, and that's not even an insult to say he's not a Hall of Famer. He's in now, but that just goes to show you that they're just going to let everybody in. And then Doc Rivers. I understand that this is a little bit difficult from a standpoint that he won that elusive championship in 08. The Celtics, who hadn't been there since Bird in 86. I mean, they've been to a final, of course. 88 or 87 when they lost, and had those decent teams with Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce, where they went to conference final in 02. But considering 08 winning an NBA championship, but he's another, how is he a Hall of Famer? He blew countless 3-1 series leads, even going back to his days in Orlando. Remember that? Tracy McGrady, when they were up 3-1, I think they were up 3-1 against Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, in 04. in the first round where Tracy McGrady said, oh, yeah, it's going to feel good to go to the second round. And what happened? They lost the next 3 games. And Doc Rivers with the Clippers blew 3-1 series left and right in the bubble to Denver. Blew a series to the Houston Rockets that time when they were up 3-2 going back to LA, and Chris Paul was a no-show. Blew a 3-2 series lead when he was a Philadelphia Sixer coach against his old team, going back to Philly when they won a Game 5 in Boston and blew those 2 games. I mean, he has leads littered that he's blown throughout his career. And again, it's not an insult to say that he's not a Hall of Fame coach, but think about it. Is he Red Auerbach? Is he Phil Jackson? Is he Greg Popovich? Is he even Steve Kerr? Come on. If Steve Kerr's going to Hall of Fame, people. You may say, oh, you had Steph Curry, you had Klay Thompson. Come on, anybody could have coached those teams. Well, you can say the same for Phil Jackson too, but he won 11. And this is what I mean. It's almost as if their resume could be just slightly above average. Oh, they got to be a Hall of Famer. Not my eyes, but congratulations to them. I don't know what else to say. I'll just leave it at that. And then to think Mark Cuban, did you read his comments? Cuban, who came out recently and said that he regretted selling the Mavericks to the people that he sold it to. He didn't regret selling the team, but selling it to Patrick Dumont, who I believe is the guy, and there's another guy I think underneath him. So he came out recently in an interview. Well, I don't know how those conversations went. I don't know if it was a situation. Of course, he's not going to say, hey, don't trade Luka Doncic. But I would think that during this process, and obviously it has to be approved by the league, but knowing that they maybe have had a handshake agreement and whatever that was discussed between he and the new ownership, you would have thought that there would have been some discussions of how are you going to build this team? Yes, Luka is the cornerstone, but what else are you going to do to get this team back to a championship level, etc.? Nobody in their right frame of mind thought that Luka Doncic would have been gone. And listen, can you blame Cuban on this? To a certain degree, but you never know. Maybe there was talks about how the team was going to be constructed moving forward. And remember, Cuban still has stake in the team. He has, I think, like 27% now, where Dumont and I believe the other guy, Adelson, has the other percentage, the majority of it. Who knows if those discussions were broached, but at the same time, from one day to the next, when Nico Harrison brought up to Patrick Dumont, and Dumont, I don't care how brilliant of a businessman he was, that is going to go to his grave. More so he than Nico Harrison, although Harrison's going to get all the bullets, and he did because he's no longer employed by the Mavericks. But to me, that falls more on Dumont because Dumont could have said, hell no, there's no way I'm trading this guy. And look, he's lucky he got Cooper Flagg, but if Cooper Flagg could be anything close to what Luka Doncic has been over the first 6 years of his career in Dallas, then they're fortunate to hit 2 lotto jackpots over the last decade, where we don't know if he's going to be anything close to Luka with all the first team All-NBA nods, and he probably could be the MVP this year. I tell you. But Cuban, yeah, I don't want to say he got hoodwinked, but if there were discussions about how this team was going to be built, and then all of a sudden that came late in the night on February 1st, 2025, and obviously it made Cuban look like, yo, what are we doing here? So you had that to chew on if you're Cuban, a Maverick fan, or an NBA fan altogether. All right, now I'm going to turn my attention to hockey. I can take out the NBA's final 10 days. I'll leave this up just for a couple of seconds, and I'll get your comments afterwards, people. So for those who are hanging in there, please do continue to hang in. I'll get to them. Now, the NHL playoff chase, this is a lot more intriguing than the NBA, I can promise you that, because as I've talked about Monday and over the last couple of weeks and what has transpired, you have a situation where you have a bunch of teams that are fighting for either 1 or 2 spots, especially when it comes to the wild card. And right now, especially with my Islanders, I don't want to make it all about them, but on Monday, they had the 2 seed in the Metropolitan Division, which means that they would host the first round against the 3 seed. And then where we are currently constituted right now, they dropped to the 3 seed because they lost to Pittsburgh on Monday night. It got destroyed. They had a 3-1 lead in the second period, and then the Penguins skated by them as if they were standing still to the tune of 7 unanswered goals. They lose 8-3. And then the next night, they lose up in Buffalo 4-3. So here they are with 89 points. Columbus, who has 88 points, but has the 2 seed or the second wildcard seed in the East. So what that means is if Columbus wins, and I'll check the schedule in a moment, let's say they win tonight, and the Islanders, who I believe are playing the Devils, they lose, they'll leapfrog over the Islanders to where the Islanders will get the 2 seed, that second wild card. And then you have Ottawa, Detroit, Philadelphia, all with 86 points, 2 behind Columbus right now. And the Capitals, who are at 85, 3 points behind the Blue Jackets. So think about it. You got to throw the Islanders there for that 3rd seed, but I'm also going to include them in the wild card because they're literally a sliver away from being a wild card team. So for that final spot, because the Bruins have 94 points, so they're comfortable and they're out in front. And this is with now 7 games to go in the season, because the season will conclude 2 weeks from tonight. You technically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams separated by 4 points battling for 1 spot. And I understand you have the 3 spot in the Metropolitan. That could be Islanders or Columbus. So you have to throw that in the mix. But you have all those teams that are jumbled together to fight for that spot. And then who knows what's going to happen with the 1 seed really in the East, not necessarily in the West, because Colorado's going to be now in the 1 seed, but they'll have the home ice throughout the entire postseason if they make it that far, because we know with President's Trophy winners, they barely even get to a Stanley Cup, let alone win it. But Buffalo and Carolina both tied at 100 points. Whomever has the most points there will have the 1 seed in the conference, and whomever is second obviously will have the 2 seed. You have Tampa, Montreal separated by 2 points, 98-96, with Tampa 2 points behind Buffalo. And Carolina doesn't have to worry about Pittsburgh. They have an 8-point cushion there in the division. Whereas out west, Colorado at 108, 8 points ahead of Dallas, who are 6 points ahead of Minnesota. Now, the other intrigue is out west because you have Anaheim, Edmonton for division. You want to throw in Vegas? And I know Vegas, we talked about that Bruce Cassidy getting fired. They bring in John Tortorella. I talked about that on Monday. So if you didn't see that on the podcast, check that out. But Edmonton now is on a bit of a surge here where they've won 4 in a row and they're 2 points behind Anaheim. And if Edmonton wins the division, they'll have the 2 seed in the conference, which means that they'll be able to host 2 rounds before they get to a conference final. Now, with Anaheim, them at 87, Edmonton 85, Vegas at 82. You also have the Utah Mammoth, who right now have a 4-point lead in the number 1 wildcard spot in the West, where LA, and they had a big win yesterday beating the Blues. And the Blues, you wonder if they're starting to fade here a little bit after a bit of a surge. But you have, and it's strictly the wild card. LA now, 78 points. Where Nashville, they've hit the skids here recently. San Jose with a big win against Anaheim last night, which helps Edmonton's cause. 1 point behind LA. Nashville tied with San Jose, 1 point behind the Kings. Winnipeg at 76 points, 2 points behind LA. And Seattle, 75 points, 3 points behind. And I'll say St. Louis for now, because they're 4 points back, although they've lost 3 in a row. So now you have a situation where for that final playoff spot, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams separated by 4 points. And I looked at San Jose's schedule. They play Nashville twice, which those are going to be playoff games, and they're currently tied with Nashville. San Jose, I don't believe they play LA, the Kings, down the stretch. You know what? I'm going to look at their schedule too, the Kings. San Jose at 77 points has Toronto, Nashville, Chicago, Edmonton, all at home. Then they go to Anaheim, come home to play Vancouver, at Nashville, at Chicago, at Winnipeg. Their schedule is very soft. I understand the Edmonton game's going to be hard. Going to Nashville may not be easy. They play Nashville on Saturday. Enormous game. They play the Blackhawks twice. They go to Winnipeg and Vancouver. I mean, that schedule is a cakewalk. But because you have all these teams in the mix, they're not going to be a guarantee to make the playoffs. They certainly have a favorable schedule. As far as the Kings go, they have Nashville, which is tomorrow night. No, that's tonight. Interesting. Nashville tonight, and then they go to San Jose Saturday. The Predators, that is. Then Toronto. They play Nashville again on Monday. So Nashville, Toronto, Nashville, Vancouver, Edmonton, all those games at home before concluding at Seattle, at Vancouver, Calgary. Their schedule is favorable too, although the Nashville game's not easy, but in their building. At Vancouver, at Calgary, Edmonton at home, not easy. They play Vancouver twice. Their schedule is not a gauntlet by any means. Nashville, on the other hand, something tells me they're going to be a gauntlet. I mean, they have to play the Kings at San Jose, at the Kings again. Talk about a weird scheduling quirk. At Anaheim, at Utah, who has the one wild card, Minnesota, San Jose, Anaheim. Their schedule is, you talk about a ringer of a schedule. Forget it. I don't see Nashville making a postseason at all. The next 5 games are on the road, 2 in LA, San Jose, Anaheim, Utah. And they go home. All right, well, they're going to play Minnesota. They're going to play Calgary. They're going to play Vancouver. Minnesota, San Jose, Anaheim. They're not. That's one that could guarantee they're not making the playoffs. And if they do, they will have earned it. Case closed. That is your NHL. Let me get to the schedule here before I move on to other things. I got baseball. I got Tiger Woods. I got a World Cup team, a team that's not going to even be in the World Cup, which is astounding to say the least. Schedule. Oh, interesting. I'm just looking at some baseball news, which is good enough because I haven't gotten to the baseball just yet, which I'll get to next. Schedule. Tonight, games that matter. Buffalo at Ottawa, Pittsburgh at Tampa, Boston at Florida, Montreal at New York, the Rangers, Detroit at Philly. Excuse me. That's a big game because the Red Wings and Flyers are tied 86 points. And they're also, who's that third team that's tied with them in the wild card? Yeah, Ottawa. Exactly. And they play Buffalo tonight. So big games there. Columbus at Carolina, Washington at New Jersey, Winnipeg, Dallas, Chicago at Edmonton, Toronto, San Jose. As you know, Utah at Seattle. That's a big game. Seattle needs to win that. Nashville, LA, as we talked about. Philly at New York, Islanders. St. Louis at Anaheim. That's a huge game for the Blues. I should have looked at their schedule, but because they're 4 points back, light schedule tomorrow. Then on Saturday, you have the Red Wings at the Rangers, 12:30 ABC, followed by Colorado at Dallas. Now, they have an 8-point lead over Dallas. If it was a lot closer in the standings, that would be a huge game, but not as much. Boston at Tampa, Florida at Pittsburgh, Montreal at Jersey, Buffalo, Washington, New York at Carolina, Islanders, that is. Utah, Vancouver, Toronto, LA, Vegas at Edmonton. Big game there, Vegas, as they try to get closer to Edmonton in the standings. Calgary, Anaheim, Nashville, San Jose, Chicago at Seattle. And then Sunday, TNT double dip, Minnesota, Detroit, 1 o'clock afternoon game. Boston at Philadelphia, 3:30. Florida, Pittsburgh, Carolina at Ottawa. Jersey, Montreal, Washington at the Rangers, St. Louis at Colorado. And that'll be it for the NHL. Let me see. Is any news and notes, NHL? Oh, the Maple Leafs fired their GM as their season goes up in smoke. Brad, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Treliving. But my thing is Craig Berube, the head coach, next. Now, Berube, this is his second year there. I'm sure they may want to keep him. But if the new GM comes in, they may want to bring in their coach. I don't know if Berube's going to survive this. I hope he does. But just something to keep in mind, knowing that the GM of the Maple Leafs is out. Could the current head coach be next and start anew, considering last year they traded Mitch Marner and they tried to not clean house, but at least have a bit of a cosmetic look to their team. And as we saw this year, including the Austin Matthews injury, which I know they had to fight there a couple of nights ago where Toronto was at Anaheim, Max Domi fighting Ratko, how do you pronounce it? Gudas. And Gudas, just hung on for dear life. He just said, all right, let me take my beating and leave. And speaking of which, what do you think about that fight the other night between Igor Shesterkin and Jacob Markstrom? Now, I understand it's not, as I like to say, Felix Potvin versus Ron Hextall, but not bad. I'll take it. Why not? But that's what you got with the NHL as I move it along here. All right. MLB concluding their first week. As I get into the batter's box, let me take off the skates. A little baseball here. The first week concluded technically last night because you had the Yankees-Giants a week ago on Netflix, as you know. But they had a story coming out of this first week, and I understand it's going to be local, of course, because JAYREELZ lives in New York and the Yankees, blah, blah. Listen, I got to give it up. They have been – listen, are you surprised by a 5-1 start? No. What I am surprised is that their pitching, in particular Max Fried and Cam Schlittler, they have been lights out. They haven't given up a run in their 4 starts at all. Schlittler is looking like Kurt Schilling. And Max Fried, we saw him last year go to a hot start, then faded, and then, had a very good year, and Fried isn't young either. He's 32, if I'm off the top of my head. But Schlittler looks like he's going to be a stud, and they'll have their home opener tomorrow. And think about this, and I talked about this on Monday. Could it be possible that you would have had the Miami Marlins go undefeated, considering that they just played the White Sox, and even though they blew them out Monday night, but they won the next 2 games? And I'll talk about the schedule in a minute. But for the Yankees, you could have asked not only for a better start as far as the 5-1, but for their top 2 dogs in the rotation. And this is without Carlos Rodon and Garrett Cole. And those guys are going to come back probably next month and the month after. You got to be over the moon if you're a Yankee fan. But I will say this. You know me, cold water. It's only 6 games. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get over the moon. All right? And I understand you got, in half the games, you've shut out the opposition twice against the Giants. You almost had a shutout going into the game yesterday, but I believe you gave up 3 runs in the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. And won 5-3, excuse me. But you got to be happy with their start. Now, we know it's not going to be sustainable. Max Fried, he's going to have his moments. Same with Cam Schlittler. You know there's going to be a game maybe even as early as this weekend. Now, the weekend, the weather's not supposed to be too bad, but you may have weather in the upper 40s starting next week. And, yeah, who knows what the pitchers, how they're going to perform in that cold and the damp, rainy, just bone-chilling type of night. Yeah, who knows, but that we'll take a look at here as we move it along. But that's been, to me, their pitching, what they've done over the first 6 games, they've been lights out. And you got to give them credit. Now, anything else to really talk about? Now, the Guardians won 2 out of 3 in LA, so kudos to them as they are now, 4-3 on this season because they split the first 4 games in Seattle. So a good start for the Guardians on the road. Split in Seattle and win 2 out of 3 against the defending champs. That's a terrific job. I mean, look at the Yankees' run differential. They've given up 6 runs in 6 games. And they're plus 18, which right now doesn't lead the sport. The Brewers actually been mashing the ball because they're 5-1. But other than that, can I get, I understand the Red Sox slow start here, 1-5. A little discouraging if you're a Red Sox fan. But no other big surprises here. Everything else is pretty much status quo. I mean, Astros 5-2. All right. And it's after losing the first 2 games, I might add. Mets I'm not happy with. Do I even need to go there? At one point, they didn't register a hit from the 6th inning on Tuesday night's game up until, Vientos hit that double. So they went 25 batters without getting a hit from the middle game on Tuesday night to yesterday afternoon. And, of course, they lost in extras after Soto hit his first home run of the year. But, yeah, that's what you got there with baseball. There's nothing else to really get into, if you ask me, from that regard. But I will say that the Pirates are going to bring up this kid, Connor Griffin, who a lot of people think is going to be just an all-around stud. And there actually has been thoughts in Pirate camp how they should just extend this kid now. Similar to what you saw the other day where the Mariners signed the shortstop. What did they sign him to? 8 years, $95 million, which was kind of similar to what the Brewers did with Jackson Chourio. Remember, he didn't even step in a batter's box or even step on a major league field in a uniform for a game that meant anything. When they signed him, I think it was like 8 for 81 or something like 8 for 88, whatever it was, 8 years, $88 million. Well, Cole Emerson is the guy that the Mariners ponied up $95 million for. And there's a lot of people that think that the Pirates should do the same here for Connor Griffin. 19 years old, 6'4", strapping body. I said this a couple weeks ago on my channel, and that'd be great. Pay Connor Griffin, whatever. Can you do the same for Paul Skeens? You need pitching. Pitching is what's going to win you championships. I don't care how many homers Connor Griffin mashes. If I'm Ben Sherrington, the GM of that team, I'd say, I'm not going to give him 10 years. And I understand he's 24 years of age? But I will say, slide that contract across the table. Here's 6 years, $240 million. I know I said 5 for $250, but you know what? 6 for $240, $40 million a year. You'll pitch to your 30, and even better yet, when he's 30 and at the peak of his powers, right in his prime, mind you, a lot of miles will be on that right arm, you would think. Hopefully no Tommy John, but he could get another big-time contract at 30, and he'll go to the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, etc. But who am I to say that? Because I've just been a baseball fan for a long time, and I've seen Pirate pitchers of yesteryear, Garrett Cole, for instance, leave and obviously have a Hall of Fame type career. Do they want to let this guy go too, Paul Skeens, and that's it? They shouldn't even be in business if that's the case. But yeah, so that's what we have with the baseball. Let me get to the schedule, see what we got here cooking. 3 games today: Minnesota, Kansas City, Atlanta, Arizona, and the Mets are in San Francisco for a 4-game set. Toronto is going to play the White Sox, got postponed due to weather. But for tomorrow, the Dodgers in Washington. Do they make a trip to see the president? I don't know. St. Louis at Detroit, Miami at New York. There's your headline series of the weekend. 2 5-1 teams going at it. Listen, if the Marlins win 1 game, you'd be ecstatic. But they do have the pitching matchups on their side. Yuri Perez, the tall right-hander, who I like a lot, will pitch the home opener for the Yankees tomorrow. And then on Saturday, you have Max Meyer, who's another good young pitching stud, and he's going to go up against Ryan Weathers, the former Marlin, where Sunday and Sandy Alcantara yesterday. How about this? Sandy Alcantara in the 6th game of the year, second start, complete game shutout as they pounded the White Sox 10-0. Sunday has Chris Paddock, the former Padre twin, bounced around against Max Fried, so that doesn't fare well. But who knows? Yuri Perez And Max Meyer, if they could keep their team in the game and somehow win those 2 games, it's not out of the realm of possibility. 2 out of 3. But I think the schedule makers, they probably did this on purpose because remember last year when the Yankees went to Miami and the Marlins swept them late July into early August. So maybe that was a thing for, hey, let's put this on the schedule early on. So the Yankee fan in particular, they'll remember this. And maybe Aaron Boone too will say, hey, wait a minute. They swept us last year, including that crazy game Friday night game where they had a 6-0 lead. I think they're up 9-4, and they lost 13-12 in extra innings. Oh, no, maybe it was in the 9th inning. Crazy game. One of the games of the year when you think about it. But we'll see if the Marlins can hang with the Yankees over the weekend. San Diego at Boston. Cincinnati, Texas, Chicago at Cleveland. That's the Cubs and Guardians. Tampa, Minnesota, Philly, Colorado, Baltimore at Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, KC, Seattle at LA, the Angels, at Atlanta, Arizona, Houston at the Athletics. So that's going to round out your baseball schedule here for the weekend. All right, now let me get to a couple other things before I get to the comments. So for those who are still hanging with me, I appreciate you guys and gals immensely. Let's get to it right here. Hold on, I got the graphic for you. Boom. As I break out the golf clubs. A week from today, you have the Masters. The tradition, unlike any other, the azaleas blooming there down in Augusta to open up the golf season, especially when it comes to the golf majors. One player who will not be in Augusta is a one Eldrick Tiger Woods. Why is that? Well, he's still recuperating from injuries. He's obviously not 100%. Says he's feeling better, but not back. He was sure hoping to want to get to the Masters. But now with the developments of what took place down in Jupiter Island, Florida, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, where at first the overturned car charged with a DUI, although it wasn't alcohol, but then of course it made you think about pain meds, considering that he got arrested, 8-9 years ago at a traffic light for whatever it was that he was taking at that time to relieve a lot of the pain from all the surgeries to his back, his knees, legs, etc. Well, now you have a situation where he came out with a statement saying that he's going to seek treatment. He's going to seek treatment overseas, which is his right. I get that. But the thing with Tiger that does puzzle you is that he gets into another accident. Remember, he got into that accident where he almost lost his leg in California. And I don't think there were any pain medications that were involved in that. Although he was speeding, I think he was doing like 82 on a 45-mile-an-hour highway, and it was a hairpin turn, and he went off, and you know the whole deal. But can we hire a driver, Tiger, at this point? I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility? And I understand he wants to protect his privacy. This is one of the reasons why he wants to go seek treatment overseas. But you are Tiger Woods. You have a net worth of $1 billion. Or maybe not net, gross worth, I should say. You can hire a driver, and you can vet out the process of hire me if you want, Tiger. I could be your guy. If I have to sign an NDA prior to and say, all right, I can't say anything about his private life, or I can't even look in the back seat or whatever, I get it. No problem. Hire me. I'll be more than happy to. License is clean. No accidents. I promise you. But come on, hire a driver. And I get it. He's going to have to drive on his own. But if he's feeling sleepy or, hey, I just took meds an hour ago, I shouldn't be driving. Or, you know what, I don't want to pick up my kids from school. Or, you know what, yeah, I'm going to go out night in the town. Or, yeah, I'm just going to go to a restaurant, back room. Yeah, have a bottle of wine. Whatever. Hire a driver. That's it. We've seen what's happened here over the years. We don't need to hear any more stories about you getting into accidents. And the crazy thing about this is, although they did find a couple of, I don't know what the name of the medication was in his pocket, but the reason why he got into that accident, his car flipped over, was because he was looking on his phone to change the station on the radio. I guess he couldn't use the touch panel on the dashboard to do that. But then the other thing is, what the hell are you doing looking at your phone while you're driving? And I get it, a million people do it. We're all guilty. If I get to a light, I'll look at it. But if I'm driving, come on. Oh, I can. No, don't do that. And here it was. I'm going to rehab, or I'm going to seek treatment. I should say rehab. But with me doing that, here it is. The reason why I got into an accident is because I was using my phone. I don't know. You can't make it up. So that's the thing with Tiger. Let me bring this up too. NFL drafts in 3 weeks as I put on my helmet and shoulder pads. No, I'm not going to talk mock drafts. No, I'm not going to get into any of this nonsense with the draft. The week into the draft, I'll talk about it. I'm not going to pull up a mock draft. If you've listened to the podcast before, I'll talk storylines. Oh, what's going to happen? I'm sure you saw the pro day by Fernando Mendoza was fantastic. And with that being said, the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins today. I don't know the extension, or I should say the extension. I don't know the details. Probably a 1-year deal. It looks like $20 million guaranteed money in 2026. The deal includes a club option for 2 years at $80 million. Could be worth $172 million for 5 years. Yeesh. Although the $20 million this year is guaranteed, it could be worth up to $172 million over 5 years. The guy's 37 years old. I understand, Aaron Rodgers is still around, I think. I'm not going to get into him, people. Brady played till he's 45. I get it, but So Cousins finds a home there in Vegas to be a mentor to Mendoza, we would think, because they're going to draft Mendoza with the first pick. But the two other items I want to talk about, and speaking of rehab, Puka Nacua. His attorney had come out to say that he is in rehab, and this was prior to that story that came out a couple of weeks ago, the incident on New Year's Eve in Century City where he was screaming out racial epithets towards the Jewish community on top of him biting a woman on the back. I mean, you can't make it up, but Puka, hopefully he gets the treatment that he needs to get himself back, and who knows if these stories are true. There's been conflicting reports to where supposedly there's video evidence where that it wasn't true about him screaming toward the direction of the Jewish community or biting this woman on the back. Listen, obviously I wasn't there. I don't know, but I'm sure it will come out at some point whether or not this is true or he gets charged or whatever. Other people say that this is just an extortion case to bilk money from Nacua. But hopefully he gets his act together because he's going into a year where he could get a big payday, as we just saw here with JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba there of the Seahawks. So you got that to deal with. And then what is Aaron Glenn doing? Let me pull up the graphic again for those who are watching. Aaron Glenn said, what? So the NFL have their GM owner meetings. I think they're in Phoenix. And Aaron Glenn came out with the recent signing of Geno Smith. Stopgap, you would think. I don't know if they're going to draft Ty Simpson with the number 2 pick overall. And if I'm the Jets, I wouldn't do that. Remember, the Jets have 3 number 1 picks next year. 3. Their own, the Cowboys, and the Colts. Cowboys for the trade for Quinnen Williams. Colts because of Sauce Gardner. He actually came out and said that Geno Smith is going to lead us to the promised land. What promised land is that? Is that over 500? Is that the promised land of being one of the 7 teams qualifying and making it into the playoffs in the AFC? Is that a championship game? Is that going to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl? Can that be defined? Because the last I saw Geno Smith, he was barely hanging on for his NFL life. And that's not a knock on Geno. And I thought he was going to do well in Vegas with his former coach there and Pete Carroll. But we saw how that turned out to be a disaster. So why would I think there'd be any improvements for what happened there in the desert last year to what's going to happen in the swamp and the Meadowlands this year? There needs to be improvements everywhere on that team. And when you think about offense, all right, Breece Hall's going to come back. Fantastic. You have Garrett Wilson to throw to. Okay, fine. Offensive line, right now, with guys like Elijah Vera Tucker leaving and not having really a semblance of an offensive line. I believe they drafted a guy too last year, but still. The promised land, Aaron Glenn? Are you looking to be jettisoned as jet coach after year 2? And I understand you could be optimistic, pie in the sky, etc. But boy, that is not a bold statement. That is just a hot take that could probably get frigid before we even get to the end of the baseball season. And what I mean by that is when the Jets start their season, that second Sunday in September, and before we even get to the playoffs there for Major League Baseball, they could be 0-3, and Geno Smith, who knows? He'll have 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions by then. All right, let's get to the comments. Fishing Angel. Hello. Miss Priya, I hope you had a good birthday too. And I don't know if you're still with us. I hope you still are. But I hope you had not a great birthday, an excellent birthday. Oh, hubby's sleeping. How's he doing, by the way? Because I know he had the appointment yesterday. Oh, look at that. Has upper respiratory infection and bronchitis. Am I the only one on here? No, you're with us, Fishing Angel. I'm sure there's other people here too. Weston, who do I have winning? Oh, Michigan. The whole thing. I'm sure we're talking about at the time, because this was back over an hour ago, the NCAA. Fishing Angel, yes. Great show yesterday. Yes, and thanks to you, made it even greater. Now, and I'm sure I'll scroll down to catch up on the comments here, but I hope he's doing well. I hope he's feeling better. He's got to lay off those cigarettes. Yeah, we've talked about that on here, and he's posted it, so I'm not trying to shout him out or put him on blast, but yeah. Oh, he's up now. All right. Weston, yeah, thank you, J-Rod. I appreciate you pinch hitting there for me. Yes. And Fishing Angel, if you missed yesterday, because I love her predictions, Fishing Angel has predicted Michigan 95, Arizona 25. So it's not 112 to 25, 95-25. I love it. Dusty May's not leaving for North Carolina. Oh, no. Oh, geez. He better not. And there hasn't been any rumors either of Dusty May, unless I don't know. Yeah, I hope he stays. Scuba lost yesterday. Now he knows about 17. Yeah. Well, the thing was, he gave up that home run to Corbin Carroll, and that was his only blemish, and he lost 1-0. So, yeah, he did get the loss, but it wasn't as if he got shelled. But I hear what you're saying there, Jay. Yes, UConn will win. Their Huskies stand ground. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I'm sure don't miss you live. Thank you, guys. Thank you. UCLA, Nick Cronin probably spelled that wrong. But him to North Carolina? Yeah, Cronin. No, you had it right. You just had to drop the E there, Jay. I haven't heard rumors about him going to North Carolina. I know he complained about the travel, Big Ten, UCLA having to travel to Michigan, UCLA having to travel all over the planet. But, yeah, I haven't heard any of that. And if he would go, I don't know. He should probably stay put, but strange things have happened. Who knows? JAYREELZ, I don't know if you're still with us, but welcome. I picked Stackhouse. He would be my choice. So I agree with you there. You think to go with someone improving again? That's a good one, J-Rod. In my opinion, if it was Jerry Stackhouse, it would be done already. I think it'll go someone else. That's a good point. Unless they're still continuing their interviewing process. And I don't understand why they wouldn't. Because Stackhouse, he's coached. You know, he's bounced around. I know he's with Golden State now as an assistant, but Vanderbilt, I mean, why not? Elena Deladon. Yeah, I didn't say Ellen Deladon or Elena Deladon. I think I said Ella Elena Deladon. Absolutely. Yeah, so I butchered that. And you know me with names sometimes, people. Not good. Yes, Fishing Angel. Good morning. Raining here. Sick. Is it cold like it was yesterday? Yeah, it's cooled off here big time. It was 44 this morning. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think it's supposed to get to the low 50s. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be the last 2 days where it was 80 on my day, Tuesday, and then yesterday was in the mid-70s. Yeah, right now it's 47, feels like 36. Yeah, it's very raw out there today. Tomorrow, the high is 66. When it's supposed to rain? I better not rain in the afternoon because I'm going to Yankee Stadium. Yeah, next week the weather is better, but the temperature is not so good. Next weekend, not bad, but that's still a ways to go. All right, so that's your weather report here for the JAYREELZ podcast. Go Kings, go. Yep. Big win last night against the Blues, and I got Nashville, so yes. Kirk Cousins to the Raiders. And if anything, he provides insurance, a guy that's going to guide Mendoza, so we think. So, yes. Oh, did you? And I was hoping to see what time, and I did subscribe to Matt Noah's channel. Shout out to you, Matt. Oh, that's good, man. Good for you, Jay. I definitely got to hop on board because he's been a good sport. He's come on here several times. And, yeah, and that's a good thing. But also, Fishing Angel and Val. I don't know if Val's in the room. Shout out to Val, too. I know I haven't, and I know we talked about the Pinky Swear Promise, but because, my early weeks are so busy just trying to get podcasts together and get everything where now it'll quiet down a little bit heading into the weekend. So I'll be sure to check out your comment and comment on it. Did I say that? I was redundant. I'll be sure to check on your content and comment about it because I put in comment instead of content. Let's get it together here, JAYREELZ. But no, good for you, J-Rod. Yeah, I definitely want to check out his stuff. Yeah, we both went on Matt Noah's channel. It's pretty awesome. Wow. That's great. I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy for him, too. I would help Tiger with his addiction. I wouldn't even ask a penny for it. And you see, and right, and there's good people out there that would do that. Absolutely. And you could also probably be his driver, too, right, Jay? Why not? Yeah, he needs to get his crap together, go to rehab. Yeah, and he's going to do it overseas. Hey, listen, who am I to say? That's good for him. I guess that'd be like me saying, yeah, if I had to go to rehab, I could go somewhere in the Bronx, but there's a guy out in Jersey or facility out in Jersey that's reputable. I'm going to go out there. All right. I won't kill him for that. From Ambien Sleeping Medicine. Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's another one that's unable to sleep at night, and therefore, yeah. Yeah, and that first one, yeah, it was Ambien. Interesting. Yeah, I knew it was something. I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you, Fishing Angel. Absolutely. He's got all the money. Yep. Hire a damn driver. Yes. I kicked my addiction or rehab, no treatment, nothing. That's right. But it all comes down to the individual. Juan, yes, sir. My man, welcome as always. Comes down to hating the world makes me sick. Yeah, I know. And I will say this. Yeah, wait, I'll get to this next time. I'm a Fishing Angel. There are more positive kindness in this world. Without question. Absolutely. Val just woke up. Joined the live. And of course, he always does my count, which I appreciate. And I will say this, Fishing Angel, with the exchange yesterday, and of course, between you and J-Rod, great to have you on. There is a great energy about you. God bless you. Keep on with that, no matter, not that there's going to be anybody who's going to disrupt that, whether you're driving or someone at work or whatever, but that's great. I love it. J-Rod saying, what's up? Oh, what is this? Oh, Stream Boo. Okay. Matt Chapman was mad yesterday. Oh, really? I didn't see that. Against the Padres? Yes, cold. No, look, in 53 in rain today. Ugh. Chapman was mad at Casey Schmidt. I'll have to look that up then. Did not see that. Yes, big win there, Val. I talked about that earlier. Yes, you're welcome, Fishing Angel. Absolutely. Big win by the Sharks. And now you're going to have, and they won in overtime too. Oh, it was in the final seconds. No, I think it was in the final seconds you guys won. Now you got Nashville sandwiched by Toronto. I mean, listen. Sharks, I thought about this yesterday. Because Val, I know you asked me, are the Sharks going to make the playoffs? And we talked about it a little bit too. But because Nashville has a hard schedule, King's schedule is actually pretty easy too. Sharks going to make the playoffs though. But the thing is, you do not play LA. If you had 2 games against LA, then it would really be interesting. But the novice, my man. Thoughts about Tom Brady considering? I know he did say that. Of course, the NFL will be behind it because that's more eyeballs to the sets, that's more money, etc. Listen. We saw Phillip Rivers not playing 5 years. He came out of retirement. Actually, he played great. No, he did not. But for a guy who was, 44 years old and was out of the game for 5 years, listen, he was still pretty good. But, Brady, I think he'd be nuts to come out of retirement. Why? Why even bother? I understand he still has the arm, the agility. He's kept himself in great shape, but and the thing is, he's not going to get paid $40 million. Nobody's going to give him $40 million at 48 years of age. Oh, how old is he? 48, I think. Yeah, well, he's going to get. He's not going to go broke. They're not going to give him $1 million, but he's making more money at Fox than he would if he were to play quarterback. And not only that, but even if he did come back, he would have to give up his percentage and whatever ownership he has in the Raiders. Wasn't behind it. Yeah, absolutely. That's all there is to it. Maple Leaf Sharks, Cavs, Warriors. Yeah, big sports schedule there for you, Val. I know Giants, Mets. Our team's going at it. We'll see. Thank you. I agree with the piece. Oh, absolutely, Fishing Angel. Without question. I sensed that through our discussion yesterday, and good for you. We've been married a long time. You could tell. Wait. We've been married a long time, and you could tell. Could you? It's real and it's deep. But yeah, it is, man. And listen, I get it that it was still, we were on like 40, 45 minutes. And that's not to say that, I know Fishing Angel like the back of my hand. Of course, absolutely not. But you get a sense, like your gut tells you. And that's what I got. And obviously you guys been together for a long time. And I'm sure she is that and then some. I mean, her name says it all, Fishing Angel Wings. I'm sure she's an angel to your life, an angel to your family, etc. And I know you and I, we kid back and forth, the whole happy life, happy wife. Well, hey, when you have someone as special as she is, you're going to do what it takes to keep her happy. So you know what? Kudos to you, my man. You know that. You mean couldn't tell. Oh, wait. So if I piece that together, we've been married a long time and you couldn't tell? Well, no, I couldn't tell only because, of course, I could tell just based on the chat with that and obviously all the good things you've said, but from the standpoint of being in her quote unquote, I guess, presence virtually, I had a better understanding of it. So let's see what we got here. Everybody's saying hello. Very positive, first heart of gold. And God bless you for it. World needs more of it. Yes. Big win. Huge win. Much needed win. It was in the final minutes. Yeah, I think it was like 22 seconds left, wasn't it? Not? Let me pull that up. Sharks. Here we go. And the Ducks. Yeah. Did I look at their schedule? Wasn't their schedule tough? Hold on. Yeah, I thought I saw the thing where it said 22 seconds left or whatever. Yeah, it's not showing up. All right, I'll just go to the box score, I guess. I'm wasting time doing this. Yeah, Celebrini ties it late. Yeah, 31 seconds. I thought it was 21. Celebrini, 40 goals. Monster year. Macklin Celebrini is the truth. Case closed. Yeah, so good for you, Val. Yeah, let me look at what's called real quick. Hold on. Yeah, I want to look at the Ducks schedule. Schedule. All right, the Ducks here. St. Louis, Calgary, Nashville, San Jose. Oh, geez. Oh, all the games are at home, except for the final two at Minnesota, at Nashville. Yeah, what you talked about before. And they host you guys, Val, San Jose a week from today or tonight. Yeah, this schedule, I mean, St. Louis, that could be tricky. Could be. Then Calgary, Nashville, San Jose, Vancouver. Yeah, no, that's a favorable schedule. I know the two games against Nashville, Minnesota, San Jose. We play Vancouver. Listen, Edmonton could win that division. They're only 2 points behind him right now. So, all right, let's see what else we got. Wow. And I didn't even get to the last thing here. You know what? I didn't even get to that last comment, but it's too late now with Italy soccer. The soccer president quit after third World Cup miss. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that, but I didn't. So the soccer president said, "The hell with this. I'm out of here." Wow. Soccer Federation president resigned amid political pressure on Thursday, 2 days after the national team failed to qualify for a third consecutive World Cup. Italy has won 4 World Cups. And I don't know what's going on over there, but you mean to tell me that they have not qualified now for the third straight time? That's an embarrassment. I mean, who are playing in those games? Me, J-Rod, Bio. Are we on these teams? I mean, come on. And I think the last time they won, didn't they win in 06? Because I remember, when was the last time? Oh, maybe that was, hang on. I think that was 06, won a World Cup. Or maybe it was 2002. When did yeah, that's what I want to find out. Hello. Yeah, 06. Yep. Yeah, I remember driving in Queens that day. That summer, it's 2006, driving in Queens, and there were people like streaming outside, celebrating and chanting or singing the Italian national anthem. Yeah, so wow, 20 years, and they haven't made it the last 3 times. That's terrible. Let's see. A lot of comments here. Hold on. Yes, we'll all be family after Michigan UCLA. Yeah, that's going to be great. That's going to be fun. Yes, looking forward to that. Yes, big year for Will Smith. Manny versus Floyd, who wins? Yeah, I heard that now they're not even going to. Yeah, that's not going to take place. I saw something where, yeah, I don't know what happened between whether it's Pacquiao's camp or Mayweather's camp. Who wins? Probably Floyd. I would say for Floyd. I mean, both these guys are relics. And I wasn't buying in on their fight. I think it was supposed to be this September. I mean, as it is, you have to watch Floyd fight Mike Tyson, which, come on. We're just making a mockery out of this. Please, as Marvin Hagler, may he rest in peace. Muhammad Ali, they're both spinning in their graves. Yes, exactly. Well, I don't know if it was more of a Floyd back out or let me look that up. Oh, did he, Val? It's just on one of those? All right. And, of course, Floyd, a Michigan guy, too, by the way. Yeah, before I get to the novice's comment, let me see. Why did Mayweather no, that's not what I want to see. Yeah, here it goes. What happened with... No, that's the first fight. Of course, I'm getting stuff about the first fight. Why they hate each other. Money may have petty broke. What's the blame? Yeah, I can't seem to find why. But yeah, if it was that Floyd backed out, then so be it. Mark, does anyone really care? Listen, even when they first fought years ago, I wasn't. Listen, he dominated the fight, but then again, Floyd, that is. But getting them both on was awesome. It's like having Michigan beat reporters. Val's to get on to California. Yes. Well, Val could do the North, and we actually had Val on. Val, I think, was my first one that was on. And then I had Bio on twice. One was just cause, name out of the hat, and then I had him after the World Series when the Dodgers won. But all right, good one, Denovis. Yep, Red Wings 2 points behind. I need to get that crap together also. Yep, Warriors, last night. Yep. And the Giants. No, yeah, as long as you win the series, that's all that matters. Soccer sucks, Mark. Yeah, I know. I'm not a big soccer fan either. I know globally it's the sport, but yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. But if Red Wings can get their crowds together, they'll win this. They'll go all the way and win? Oof. Bold statement there. But Fishing Angels, he always has those bold statements, especially when it comes to scores. Predicting J-Rod probably lives in mommy's basement, not JAYREELZ. Wait a minute. Are you talking about J-Rod? Wait. We said J-Rod. I was thinking Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners. No, he does not. Come on, Mark. We had the novice. Maybe JAYREELZ wants to have me back. Yeah, we'll work that out some time. Yeah, come on, Mark. He 2221. I think Floyd versus. Oh boy, Floyd versus D is a better fight. I already know what the follow-up is going to be to that one. So I won't even go there. Mark, congratulations, be proud. All right, Mark. All right, now you're getting a little crazy here. There you go, Fishing Angel. Yeah, I'm not even going to post what Mark put there. Not even going to post that. Power play, 22 goals scored on power play. First goal of the Sharks. Wait, didn't you say Will Smith? I know you say assisted on Macklin's goal, right? Mark, by the way, it's called a basement where me. Uh-oh. All right. That was what I didn't mean to post that there. Come on, Mark. Let's be civil here, please. Can we do that, please? Yeah, there you go. Don't talk to my Denmark Standards. Go with Spain. We read this bank. I could see. Yeah, there we go. Now, Mark, if you want to get at me with the whole what's it called, that's one thing. But come on, let's not insults, names. We don't need to go there. We do not. As a matter of fact, let me just check one thing here before I. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Is this going to play the audio? Oh, all right, guys. Oh, this is funny. All right, hold on. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I'm just looking up something, guys. If you could bear with me for 1 second. One second. I just need to watch something real quick because I know that this has been refuted. Is that Billy Hatcher? Yeah. I forgot he was on that team. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm just going through this particular video that Tiger surprised over DUI arrest body cam shows. Oh, geez. Now they got a body cam. I'm going to have to watch that. I mean, I could care less about that to watch it, but, you know. But I just saw that headline there. All right. So, yeah, let me get back to the comments. But, Mark, yeah, can we be civil, please? Can we? There he is. Oh, Mark, I tell you. The fight was up in the air because Floyd took an advance on the purse, which broached. Oh, is that right? Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, come on. Hey, Burrito Bandito. How do you feel about water polo? I don't have a problem with it, but if there were leagues or whatever somewhere in the world, I couldn't even tell you one player. My life depended on it. Escarf was goal at Sharks goalie. Stone would start the game. I can Celebrini. Nice. Floyd. Oh, was he on Vlad TV? No, I haven't watched that. Mark tripping. Don't know what water polo is, Fishing Angel? Put it this way. Water polo is like soccer, but in a pool. But obviously you're not kicking using your hands. $0.50 spoke of it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, listen, is Floyd broke? That's got that's probably what the case is. Wait, Floyd broke Tank. Even spoke on it. I didn't watch it. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, polos play on horses as well. Absolutely. We think of the polo shirts and the polo cologne, which I used to rock back in the day, by the way. Uh-oh. NFL now has an official flag football partner, so spring football is coming. Could you imagine? Oh, my goodness. Now, I'm not going to put the cart before the horse, but as if the NFL can't suck enough oxygen out of the sports universe, imagine they're going to have a spring football league where these players are going to play. I mean, I don't know. Listen, NFL. Yeah, I didn't hear about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Please, bad enough they're going to have to flag football in the Olympics, the Summer Olympics at that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, UFL started last week. Yeah, Michigan Panthers are the USFL back in '84. I tell you. All right, anything else I got, guys? I can't be mad at football all year. I know. Listen, you're in the majority, Danavis. Listen, when the football season comes, I'm in. Yeah, I know I may kill it from time to time, but no, I'm in. It's just that when I hear people, especially like the Hall of Fame game, when I hear people come out and say, hey, football is back. I was like, no, it's not back. Yeah, I guess it is. It's part of our consciousness now because you got exhibition games. But you know my old saying, people, if there was an NFL exhibition game in my courtyard outside, I would draw the blinds. I could care less. Uh-oh. What's happening? You can run your mouth all you want, Mark Salmons, but actually speak louder than words. Block burrito guy. Okay. What did burrito guy do? Speaks. No, I got you, Fishing Angel. It's raining in SoCal. No way. Wait, what's the temperature there? I know it because I got this on my Moreno Valley. Hold on. Oh, it increased the degree. Look at that. 48 now. Yeah, and I know, Bio, you said you're 15 minutes from Moreno Valley, right? Yeah, it's 57. Ooh, that's chilly. Yeah, you guys have went through a heat wave. I know we were talking about that a week or so ago, where I saw the temperatures in Moreno Valley. They were in the 90s. And today, high 69, 79, Saturday, 83 and sunny, 85, 81. Oh, geez, what I would do for 85 and sunny right now. I can't complain. I mean, listen, I had the best weather I could ever have for a birthday on top of a nice weather day yesterday. So, 18-game season coming. Yep, I know that is. Super Bowl on President's Day weekend. Yep. Every team play one international game a year. Is great for the NFL. So you're on board with that, the novice. Yeah, I'm not on board in the 18-game season. I wish it was 16. President's Day, I can see why. And in fact, no, I understand. No, don't be sorry. I get it. Yeah, it would piss me off too. I feel you, Fishing Angel. I do. Wait, hold on a second. Yes. Next year, people, the NFL Super Bowl's on Valentine's Day, which falls on the President's Weekend because President's Weekend, or maybe not, because President's Weekend isn't usually the third Monday, and the third Monday is the 15th, February. Let's see, when is President's Day 2027? Yep. Well, next year is going to be the first NFL on Valentine's Day, number one, and the first Super Bowl. I said first NFL. The first Super Bowl on Valentine's and the first Super Bowl that's going to fall on President's Weekend. Yeah, and my wife even told me, Super Bowl, we're doing something. And watch the Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Super Bowl that year. And what do? What did I do? What will I do? Yes, it makes sense. Everyone off the next day. Yeah. Oh, my God. You hit it around the head there, J-Rod. Lions and Steelers Super Bowl. Oh. Trouble for real. And I think, where's the Super Bowl next year? SoFi, right? Yeah, it's in SoFi. Oh, what is this? Yeah, this Kirk Cousins contract is nuts. Now, we understand he's not going to get $172 million, and I understand he's going to get $20 million guaranteed this year, club option, blah, blah, blah. But that's what it could look like. But it doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be that. Bite your tongue, Fishing Angel. No, I understand. If the Lions beat the Steelers, and listen, that'll be the Lions' first Super Bowl. And if they win, I couldn't be mad. I'd be mad at my team, but I couldn't be mad. Yeah, game's in SoFi, so you already know Lions, Rams, Stafford. Yeah, exactly. I tell you. All right, people, got anything else going on? Let's see. Yeah, before I sign off, go about my day, eat something. Yeah, I'm on the ESPN page. Stephen A. Stephen A has the worst takes of all time. You know, you go on to ESPN.com. Yeah, because I go back and forth. I go to ESPN. I see what CBS has. I don't go to Yahoo. I used to do Yahoo Sports a long time ago. And Yahoo Sports is pretty good too, but yeah, ESPN Thursday's take. Stephen A. on Wemby. This is what greatness is made of. That's going out on a limb there, Mr. Smith. Come on. And then Stephen A. Boston looks like the most formidable team in the Eastern Conference. Bro, I could put up those freaking takes. And that's lazy. Listen, maybe I'll end it on this note because you want to talk about trolling and all that. That's why first take is worst take, because it is so sports talk for dummies. It is so much of the regurgitated narratives that you hear over and over and over and over again. It is so much of the lazy. Oh, it is just brutal. Brutal. And that guy gets paid $20 million a year to do that. And I know I've said this a million times. I can see J-Rod saying, lay off of Stephen A. Smith. Once upon a time, he goes, what I do, I deserve double. Well, if he deserves double, then I deserve triple. Come on. Seriously? But again, it's just lazy. Do you think the Celtics are the most formidable team in the Eastern Conference? I think they are. Nobody wants to hear that on April 2nd. That's just me. I don't know. Hold on, Dan Sock. What is happening? Good to see you. All right, here we go. Ready? No, absolutely. You'd be happy if they just made the Super Bowl. 100%. Thank you, Fishing Angel, as always. You know it. Praying the Eagles play Cowboys and Rio this year. That'd be good. Yeah, I'll probably announce that. You know when the NFL will announce that? On the eve of the NBA playoffs, which will be 2 weeks from tomorrow. Because you already know. What's this? We noticed when we were on live yesterday with you, you were smiling a lot more, and that was awesome. Me? I was smiling a lot more? Why, do I not smile enough or smile at all? No, I'm smiling because, we're engaging back and forth. They had good conversation, so, Stephen A. apologized to Michigan for saying they will let you down. You see, that's the thing. His takes are just so terrible. Listen, if he doesn't like Michigan or if he doesn't whatever, it's almost as if he just says something just because it's going to generate clickbait or rage bait. And that's weak. That's so weak. Yeah. They're going to let you down. What is that based on? And see, and that's why I don't like, and that's why if I sat across from him, I understand they would throw me out of that set the first day because they had their production meetings. They have everything is pretty much scripted going into First Take. That's why I couldn't be on that show, because if they have me in those production meetings, all right, well, I'm going to come out my Michigan. I'm going to say that, yeah, they're going to let you down. On that call, I would say, why? Why are they going to let you down? Give me one good reason why. I don't want to hear, because I don't trust their coach. Well, give me a reason why you don't trust the coach. And that's why I'd have to jump off. Or I would go along with it and then shock everybody by saying, Stephen A., you're wrong. How do you know they're going to let everybody down? But then I'd probably get pulled off the set on a commercial break, and that's it. But you want ratings? Those are good ratings. Those are true ratings, not this fabricated, generated garbage. As he has said in the past, we don't care, go blue. Yeah. He signed with the Bengals? Yeah, they got him in a trade right before the deadline from New England. Good player. That reminds me of Mike Hilton, when Mike Hilton went from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati. And then he got a pick six off of Ben Roethlisberger in his last year. We dances through the neighborhood. All right, hold on, Dan Sock. Go blue, who cares? Yeah, I know. You know me. I just got to get on this case. NFL's on the edge of crushing the NBA. I think they already have. The NFL's crushed everything. That's why, and I don't do this on purpose. Maybe it is. You guys could answer this better than I can. No, you probably could. You probably say, yeah, JAYREELZ, any chance, and it's true. Anytime I have a chance, let's reel it in, JAYREELZ. Any chance that I have, and deservedly so, I'm not going to do it just for the sake of doing it, because I'll give the NFL credit. But any chance that I have that I can knock the NFL, I'm going to do it. Why? Because of what we've seen here over the last, I'll say, decade. Them being pigs, trying to take all the oxygen out of the room, stealing Christmas from the NBA, trying to put games every day of the week, oversaturating their product. Sunday at 1 o'clock, you got the weakest games known to man because they got to spread the wealth with all the other networks. I mean, it's an abomination. I hate it. Holden Dan Sock is thinking of a comment, and what does he say? Boom. All right. Yeah, he plays both sides, but it's terrible. Thank you. Fake takes, clickbait. Or as I like to say, Fake take. I like that too. Maybe I should take that one too. The clickbait and switch. Because that's what that is. Garbage. Yeah. Fake take, first take. Yeah. Thank you, Val. Did you show your wife the live we did? Yeah, in fact, because she was here, but she was working. But I showed. We didn't watch the whole thing, of course, but she was aware, and I know I got to get her on. I got to talk to her about that too. So, but no, definitely Fishing Angel. She certainly did see some of it. Flag football, yeah, not a fan. And that's the thing. In 28, when they had this flag football. I can't even imagine. Like, what, is Australia going to have a team? And the NFL players are going to murder them. But boy, if Joe Burrow goes back to pass and he eludes a rush and he tears an ACL, they'll cancel that event on the spot. Well, at least the Bengal owner will. Disgrace. I would definitely give Stephen A. a piece of mind. Oh, yeah. I tell you. I know. So I got on my Stephen A. thing. Yeah, and again, it's just the NFL. They just can't get out of their own way. And it just, to me, it's just bothersome. I don't like it as a sports fan. And I can voice my opinion on it. And that's what it is. It's my thoughts, my feelings. And I know there's a majority that loves the international games. They love getting up at 9:30 East Coast time. They gamble, in-game. I get all that. But no, not this guy. Not this guy. Wait, what did Mark say here? Burrow about finished. That's a little premature, but the injuries are starting to mount. I wonder, would you want for me and you to go live? I go live sometimes. I'm not sure. Hey, listen, you want me on your live, Val? Let's go. Let's do it. How about that? Before you come back on my live, I want to go on one of your lives. Just, we'll schedule a day time. I know you're 3 hours behind, but please. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yes. I want to go on your live. Whatever you got, we'll do it. Chicken Little Day. All right. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap things up. Call it a podcast. And, of course, whatever comments that comes through, I'll get them on the back end. So let's see. Great dude, but now partying? Who are we talking about? Talking about Tiger? No. I haven't been live in a while on my channel, but would love to have guests on my live one day. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. The sky's always falling. Yes, it is. I will do so, Fishing Angel, without a doubt, as I always do. All right, so yeah, keep the comments coming. I'm just going to put a ribbon on this. Oh, that's you. Oh, you're talking about him. Great dude without partying as far as, what you call it, bro, work ethic? I hear you. He's still great, though. But, yeah, they got to win. That's the thing. That is the thing. That'll do it, my good people. Another episode is about in the books. As always, thank you so much for carving out precious time out of your day to hop on board, to listen to what it is I have to say about the toy department of life called sports. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe, rate, review, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, where you can also see video on Spotify, and then obviously here on YouTube, the channel at JAYREELZ. Please subscribe, rate, review, like, leave a comment, hit that notification bell whenever I pop up on lives. And yes, I know my 31 days of live streams for the month of March have come and gone, but I'm going to do another one tomorrow at Yankee Stadium. No, not inside. I'll be outside doing a little content creating. So sometime tomorrow, the game starts at 1. I'll be out there before then. So anywhere between, I don't know, 11, I'll say 10 and 1. So hit that notification bell. Hopefully it works. I know for some it hasn't, but I'll be out there, and I will do occasional lives like that where I'll just pop up and just chime in like I've done here over the course of the past month. So you got that going on. But as you well know, this is independent sports, media, podcasting, at its finest. True sports talk, real sports talk, none of this clickbait, rage bait garbage, as you know. As long as I'm alive and kicking and breathing in front of this camera and microphone, I promise I will deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens in all of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are. The JAYREELZ podcast always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect, in the blood, in the DNA, as you already know. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Center, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. And until next time on the JAYREELZ podcast, on the flip, baby. And Mark will see me tomorrow. All right. Best channel you've seen. I appreciate that. You promise? All right. That's good. I will take that. And again, I appreciate everyone's participation, time, energy, all that. And as always, people, on the flip.